Welcome to the Explainer. So, picture this. You sit down to code, you're totally pumped to bring a new idea to life, and boom, you instantly feel like you're battling your own tools. If you've ever felt buried under hidden config files or just completely weighed down by massive development environments, believe me, you are not alone. Today, we're diving into the really cool behind-the-scenes journey of a developer named John. John made a pretty radical decision. He decided to stop fighting his tools and start mastering them. He set out to build an app called Simple Game, sure, but the real goal? Building his own engineering independence. Let's dig into exactly how he pulled it off. Okay, let's be real about a massive frustration for self-taught coders. When you rely 100% on a heavy, integrated development environment, Android development basically feels like a giant black box. It's incredibly easy to lose track of how your build systems, your directory structures, and your dependencies are actually interacting. Because, well, they're all hidden away from you. When something breaks, you don't even know why. You just press a button, cross your fingers, and hope for the best. John realized that to truly level up as an engineer, he had to pry that black box open. So the big goal here was escaping that box. And the absolute key to his escape was achieving what's known as a hermetic build. If you haven't heard that term, it basically means the build environment is entirely self-contained. You completely strip away the reliance on those heavy IDEs to compile your app. Instead, you're controlling everything directly through the command line. The best part? It makes the project totally portable. You could literally drop this code onto any machine, and it's going to build exactly the same way every single time. Zero massive software suites required. To actually reach this hermetic build milestone, John created a foundational blueprint. He calls it his golden template strategy for Simple Game. Instead of letting software auto-generate the whole shebang, he took total ownership. He literally sat down and hand-coded the core configuration files, the Gradle wrapper, the settings.gradle.kts, and the app.build.gradle.kts. By doing this manually, he wasn't just writing an app anymore. He was writing a perfectly repeatable blueprint. He fundamentally learned the DNA of his project's infrastructure. Now, what's really brilliant is how this template gives him a concrete 3-step battle plan for starting any new project. Step 1, isolation. Whenever he wants to spawn a new app, he just clones the template using a basic copy command. No messy IDE wizards. Step 2, clean hygiene. By running a command line clean instead of manually hunting down folders to delete, he guarantees every single build is completely reproducible and free of those annoying ghost artifacts from previous compiles. And step 3, control, the ultimate prize. He commands the generation of the final APK himself. Honestly, this shift is a massive personal milestone for any developer. You're moving from hoping the build works to actually understanding the lifecycle. It completely flips the script on coding anxiety. You know that terrifying moment of hitting compile and just praying you don't see a wall of red error text? That's gone. It's replaced by a feeling of absolute, unshakable control over the application. Think about how many late-night, hair-pulling debugging sessions you could avoid with this level of certainty. You don't hope it works anymore. You know exactly how and why it works. All right, so the hermetic build is conquered, confidence is soaring. Next up, getting beyond a blank screen. Initially, John was building his user interface programmatically. He was literally writing out Kotlin code line by line just to draw basic text on the screen. Kind of clunky, right? It was super inefficient. So he scrapped that manual method and transitioned to the industry standard approach, designing the UI using XML. This was a huge leap forward in professionalizing the entire project. Of course, once you introduce XML, you actually need a proper place to put those files. By setting up a standardized directory, specifically app/source/main/res/layout, John gave all the app's visual elements a clean, highly organized home. Now, I know directory structure sounds like a minor housekeeping thing, but establishing this discipline from day one is absolutely crucial. It prevents your codebase from morphing into a chaotic spaghetti monster later down the line and keeps things scalable no matter how big the app gets. And right here is where we see the real beauty of separating concerns. By splitting these tasks up, we draw a hard line between the visual architecture and the actual brain of the application. The XML side handles the what, the visual layout, the buttons, the text inputs. Meanwhile, the Kotlin side handles the how, the underlying logic, the math, the networking. You really never want your visual design tangled up with your core logic. This clean, elegant separation is a total standard practice for building robust software. But here's the million-dollar question. How do we actually connect that static XML file back to the Kotlin brain? John used a process called inflation. By calling setContentView, he bridges the gap. It takes that static XML blueprint and literally inflates it, breathing life into it and rendering it as a fully functional, interactive user interface on the screen. It's the essential linchpin that ties the two separated worlds together. Okay, this is where the story gets super exciting. With a rock-solid build foundation and a beautifully separated UI, John didn't just call it a day. He pivoted to an incredibly ambitious new goal: completely decentralized chatting. He envisioned a system where phones could talk directly to one another. He was entering the final phase of his simple game evolution, the roadmap to peer-to-peer, or P2P communication. Take a look at this roadmap. It perfectly captures the momentum of the project. We can see exactly what's done and the complex logic that's still in the to-do list. The UI fields and buttons? Done. But pending is the button logic, the networking API, the device permissions, and the complex threading. Laying out a clear, honest checklist like this is just a fantastic way to tackle a massive engineering task without getting totally overwhelmed. The absolute heart of this whole networking phase is the Nearby Connections API. This is the magic that allows two distinct Android devices to discover each other and swap messages without ever touching a central server. No cloud, no middleman. It aligns perfectly with John's driving theme of true self-reliance. Just like his build system doesn't need an external IDE, his chat app won't need an external server. Now, naturally, before two devices can just magically beam messages to each other, they actually have to find each other. And to pull that off, John has to navigate Android's strict security framework. He needs to dive into the Android manifest.xml file and explicitly ask the operating system for the required permissions, specifically location and Bluetooth access. Without this, the device isn't legally allowed to broadcast or listen for nearby peers. It's a critical gateway you have to pass through in Android development. Finally, we have to talk about threading, because networking is heavy lifting for a phone. If you tell a device to go search for Bluetooth peers, it might take a few seconds. If you run that search on the main application thread, the entire screen is going to freeze up until the search finishes. Nobody wants that. So to ensure this heavy background work doesn't cause UI hangs, John is implementing coroutines. Coroutines allow for this elegant, lightweight thread management, pushing the heavy lifting to the background so the user experience stays buttery smooth. So, from busting out of the black box of hidden files to architecting a fully hermetic build, mastering UI separation, and now charting a course for decentralized peer-to-peer networking, John's journey really is a masterclass in engineering independence. Mastering these fundamentals completely empowers you to build literally anything you can imagine without leaning on automated crutches. As John gets ready to launch his P2P network, I want to leave you with this. Applying this same hermetic mastery to your own code, what are you going to build next? Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and keep building.